no place like this on Earth. It's the most well-preserved island ecosystem and the largest marine sanctuary on the entire planet. Welcome everybody to the Galapagos. I'm Alice Ford. If you love travel, adventure, and wildlife, then you're going to love it here. Make sure you hit subscribe, turn on those notifications, and give this video a big thumbs up. There are 19 main islands here in the Galapagos and over 100 little inlets that make up the island chain. I'm starting this trip off on the Island of San Cristobal, which is about 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador and a 2.5-hour flight from Quito. Now, let me start off by saying that coming to the Galapagos is expensive. There are a couple of ways to get here, which I'll be covering in another video on how to get to the Galapagos. But there are basically 3 different ways you can explore the islands. You can island hop by ferry, which is the most cost-effective, or you can join a tourist cruise or a live-aboard if you're very serious about scuba diving. For a live-aboard, you need to have at least 25 dives, you need to be more advanced, and you need to be open to doing 2 to 4 dives per day and not doing a lot of sightseeing on the islands. Because I wanted to see a lot, I'm actually going to be joining a tourist cruise later this week and checking out some of the southeastern islands here in the Galapagos. San Cristobal is the 5th largest and easternmost island in the Galapagos, and the main town is also the capital of the islands. Because there's an airport on this island, it's a common starting and ending point for many travelers, me included. And on my first day on the island, I set out to explore near my hotel and learn more about the island's history and wild residents. In 1959, the Galapagos became Ecuador's first national park, and in 1978 it became a World Heritage Site. But it was made famous well before that by this guy, Charles Darwin, and his theory of evolution. He came here in the 1830s, documenting sea lions and tortoises and all kinds of birds, and his work still continues to this day. This island is an important piece of Darwin's history because it was the first island where Darwin actually came ashore in 1835. Today it's home to a university and an institute that continue conservation research on many species. And one animal you're sure to see a lot of are sea lions. Before coming to the Galapagos, I read a lot of blogs and they said the sea lions were literally everywhere, but I didn't necessarily believe them until I saw this. My hotel is just across this boardwalk from the main town here, so every time I want to go to town to find a restaurant or to head out on a dive boat, I have to go through this obstacle course of sea lions. Sea lions have their babies in winter, and it's about March right now, so most of the babies here are about 3 to 4 months old. This guy looks a little bit younger, and most of them here on the beach in the night are with their mothers who come in from the oceans, and then they're able to feed on them, drink their milk, which they do for about the first year of life as well. Now, there are some little babies that you see by themselves. I don't know if their mothers are still alive or they're just out to sea, but you can definitely observe them here on the beaches. This time of year is not only nesting season for sea turtles, but iguanas too, and the path I'm taking right now takes me to a beach where we're gonna see a lot of them. It's amazing how well these iguanas camouflage themselves. I thought this guy was a big rock and almost stepped on him. These iguanas are totally unique because they're actually marine iguanas, the only lizards on Earth that spend time in the ocean. And here in the Galapagos Islands, they have adapted to an island lifestyle. Populations across the islands have been isolated from each other for so long that each island has its own subspecies. There's one species I have always wanted to scuba dive with, and that's hammerhead sharks. It happens to be the season right now, so today I'm heading out on a scuba diving boat to see if we can spot some. I asked for a tandem kayak this morning. That's who I got. Hey there. I was going to dive at a place called Kicker Rock, a massive remnant of a vertical tuff cone formation that rises 500 feet out of the sea. And it's one of the premier places to see sea turtles, rays, and sharks. Now, diving in the Galapagos is not for the inexperienced. There are extremely strong currents, which make diving here pretty challenging, especially if you don't have a lot of dives under your belt. But it's these deep currents that make this such a wildly diverse place for marine life. The islands actually sit at the confluence of 3 deep ocean currents. These bring with them nutrient-rich water. The nutrients feed plankton and plants, and the whole ecosystem grows from there. And this is why, depending on the time of year, you can see everything from whale sharks and sea lions to penguins in the waters of the Galapagos. Scuba diving here was epic. There were huge balls of fish, which hung out in the deeps, and every now and then a sea lion would rocket down from the surface to grab a snack. Sharks lurked in the deeper waters away from the reef, and on my first dive, we got to see several reef sharks, but dive number 2 was spectacular, offering a rare glimpse of hammerheads swimming in large groups. Now, hammerheads can often be hard to spot while diving as they can feel the electromagnetic pulse in our bodies and are extremely shy. This was certainly the dive of a lifetime and one I will not soon forget. Welcome aboard the Corals One. This is my home for the next couple of days. There are a ton of different sizes of ships when you're coming to the Galapagos. I chose this one, which at the max is about 30 people, but this week we're going to be just 9. I'll get more into details of how to choose your cruise ship if you're coming here and want to do our tourist cruise. Make sure you check out the other video on my planning guide to the Galapagos, but for now, let me show you around the ship, and then we're gonna have a ton of adventure over the next few days.
Take a train ride just to see you.
My first day on board, we headed down the coastline on San Cristobal to a volcanic area called Cerro Brujo, which is an old extinct cone of a shield volcano. By sea, we were able to take the dinghy out to admire some of the sea caves and unique volcanic features. It's in a state of constant change. These tall rocky cliffs have been eroding by water and rain for thousands of years. Now, the Galapagos were formed by shield volcanoes and continue to be shaped by active volcanoes to this day. The landscape is rugged and on some islands almost devoid of plants, dotted with volcanic craters and large rocks providing little shelter from the hot equatorial heat. Off the boat, I had about an hour or so to enjoy some beach time and observe some wildlife before hopping in the water for some snorkeling. One of the things about being here in the Galapagos that is so special is that because of the regulation, because of the control of how many people can be in one place at a time, if you're on a ship, whether that be a small ship cruise or even a dive boat, you will be at the beaches and the dive spots, snorkeling spots, almost completely alone. There are just about 25 of us out here today from 3 different ships. When I was out here the other day on my dive boat, it was the same with about less than 15 people, and that's what you can expect. So you have these beautiful, pristine places almost always entirely to yourself. More than 80% of the Galapagos is ocean. So one of the things you'll get to do on any vessel here is snorkel, usually twice per day. This is how you're going to see most of the animals that live in the Galapagos: the turtles, sharks, fish, even penguins. Right now we're hiking to one of the only places in the Galapagos you can see every kind of booby. No, not that kind of booby. The birds, red-footed, blue-footed, and Nazca boobies. After disembarking on the beach, we climbed a steep trail to reach the nesting birds. Like many of the species here in the Galapagos, 80% of the birds, which includes these 3 species of boobies, are endemic, meaning they aren't found anywhere else on Earth. Now, many of the birds we saw were in the midst of nesting or courting a mate, while some were busy bringing fish home for newly hatched fur babies. To tell this species apart, just look at their feet, which are brightly colored in either blue, red, or black. If you're wondering where the name boobies came from, well, it's possible that it was based on the Spanish slang bobo, which means foolish or slow. A couple hundred years ago, when these islands were being discovered, these birds used to land on ships where they were easily caught and eaten by sailors. Pretty foolish, if you ask me. All right, you've had a chance to see a little bit of the Galapagos now, by sea, by land, and under the water. So drop a comment down below and let me know how you would want to explore it. Scuba diving, snorkeling, island hopping, and don't forget to subscribe while you're at it. One of the really special things here in the Galapagos is that the animals, because they've never had natural predators, and we've done a pretty good job, minus the 1800s, of keeping most of the predators out,
is that the animals, they're not afraid. Gives us the perfect opportunity to not only study them, but to see them.
Espanola is one of the oldest islands in the chain. Like many of the islands, no one is allowed to live on the island, so other than tourist groups, it's devoid of humans, and there is a huge variety of wildlife. One of the endemic species to Espanola is the Christmas iguana, and I think you can tell how it got its name. The island is also a gigantic bird colony where you can spot small birds like mockingbirds and larger birds like albatross and blue-footed boobies.
One of the most famous things on this island is actually man-made. The old post office that Captain Cook put here back in 1793. It's not the original anymore, but it's still tradition to come and bring your postcards here and look in the barrel to see if any of the old ones are to places in your neighborhood that you can take out and hand deliver yourself. Yep. Signed, sealed, and hopefully one day delivered. Some say this island is actually cursed. During the 1800s and even the 1900s, many different settler groups tried to come and live here, from the Norwegians to the Americans to the famous Baroness and her 2 lovers. Each tale ended in either disaster or death, or the people returning back to their native lands. One of the things I really wanted to see on this island were the pink flamingos. They're pretty far off in the distance here, but really excited that we got to see a few. Floriana was also once home to a thriving tortoise population. That population went extinct after almost 100 years of settlers from all over the world coming and killing the tortoises, as well as the endemic mockingbird that used to live on this island. Here you can see where the tortoises have come in to dig their nests. Okay, this might be my favorite beach so far. There are stingrays out here, tons of tortoises, little baby sharks. So cool.
This has been an absolutely incredible adventure. I've seen more marine life in this last week than I've seen throughout most of my life. And places like this, marine sanctuaries, they wouldn't be possible without the support of the public and the help of politicians. So I want to end this video by giving a huge thank you to the President and the government of Ecuador and the people of Ecuador for protecting the islands of the Galapagos, for also expanding this marine sanctuary all the way up to Costa Rica, creating a marine superhighway so species like whale sharks and hammerheads and turtles can have a protected area where they don't have to worry about being trapped in a net or killed by a poacher. I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful adventure in all of the wildlife. This is truly one of the most unique and beautiful places on the planet. If you guys are new here, please make sure you hit subscribe, turn on those notifications, and don't forget to drop a comment down below. I've got lots more content on Ecuador on the channel, so please check it out. And as always, never stop exploring.